You are already negotiating today. When you asked your boss for a later start time, when you talked a mechanic down on a repair bill, when you and your partner decided whose family to visit for the holidays, negotiation isn't something that happens only in boardrooms with lawyers and briefcases. It's something you do constantly, often without noticing, and almost always without any training at all. Which is strange because there is one skill, one single move that separates people who consistently get better outcomes from people who just accept whatever they're offered. Today, we're breaking that skill down completely. So by the end of this video, you'll never walk into another conversation the same way again. Let's start by clearing something up. Most people think negotiation is about being aggressive, about pushing harder than the other person, about winning some kind of verbal fight. That's wrong, and it's actually the reason most people avoid negotiating altogether. They picture a used car salesman shouting numbers or a tense, sweaty standoff across a table, and they'd rather just pay the sticker price than deal with any of that. But real negotiation isn't a fight. It's an exchange of information. The person who understands more about the situation, the other side's constraints, their own alternatives, and the value actually at stake, wins more often than the person who simply talks the loudest. Negotiation rewards preparation, not aggression. Before we get to the core skill, you need to understand one thing, the one thing that determines your power in any negotiation. And it isn't confidence and it isn't charisma, it's your alternative. Negotiation experts call this your BATNA, your best alternative to a negotiated agreement. In plain English, what happens if this deal falls through? If you're negotiating a salary and you have 3 other job offers, you have enormous power because walking away costs you almost nothing. If this is your only option, your power collapses, no matter how good your arguments are. This is why the single best thing you can do before any negotiation isn't practicing your pitch. It's building a real alternative. Even a mediocre backup option changes how you carry yourself in the room. Now here's the skill. The one move that shapes almost every negotiation before it even really begins. It's called anchoring, and it means being the first person to name a number or a position. Here's why it matters so much. Research on negotiation consistently shows something surprising. The first number put on the table has a gravitational pull on the entire rest of the conversation. Even when people know a number is arbitrary, their brain still uses it as a reference point, and every counteroffer gets measured against it. This is called the anchoring effect, one of the most well-documented biases in human psychology. If you're selling something and you say a high number first, the negotiation happens in the upper range. If you let the other side go first, they set the range, usually in their favor. But anchoring isn't just about blurting out an aggressive number and hoping for the best. Done badly, it damages trust and can end a negotiation before it even starts. Done well, it follows 3 rules. Rule 1, go first whenever you have reasonable information about the situation. If you're totally in the dark, ask questions before anchoring. Rule 2, anchor aggressively but justify it. An extreme number with no reasoning sounds insulting. The same number with a clear rationale, comparable sales, your unique qualifications, market data sounds like a serious opening position. Rule 3, leave room to move. Your anchor should be ambitious, not fantastical. If the other side laughs and walks away, you've overshot. A good anchor stretches the negotiation in your favor while still being defensible. Once you've anchored, resist the overwhelming urge to keep talking. This is where most people undo their own progress. You name your number, and the silence that follows feels unbearable. So you start justifying, softening, adding caveats before the other person has even responded. Stop. Silence after an offer is not empty air, it's pressure, and it's working in your favor. Let the other person be the one to break it. Experienced negotiators treat silence as a tool, not a gap to be filled. Anchoring sets the frame, but listening is what lets you adjust inside it. Skilled negotiators spend more time listening than talking, specifically listening for the other side's real constraints. The deadline they're under, the budget they can't exceed, the person they answer to. One useful technique here is called labeling, naming the emotion or concern you're picking up on. Saying something like, "It seems like timing is a bigger issue for you than price," opens people up. It shows you're paying attention, and people who feel heard become more flexible, not less. How you frame a number matters almost as much as the number itself. Losses feel roughly twice as painful as equivalent gains feel good, a finding known as loss aversion. So instead of saying, "You'll save $200, a skilled negotiator might say, "Without this, you'll be losing $200 a month." Same math, very different emotional weight. Framing your position around what the other person stands to lose rather than gain makes your offer land harder. Let's walk through this with a simple example. Imagine you're negotiating your salary for a new job. Before the conversation, you research comparable salaries, and ideally, you line up at least one other opportunity. That's your batina, sitting quietly in your back pocket. When the recruiter asks your expectations, you anchor first, naming a number at the top of the reasonable range, backed by your research and your specific skills. Then you stop talking. When they respond, you listen closely for what's actually driving their limits. Is it a fixed budget? Or is there flexibility they're not stating outright? You frame the gap not as "I want more money," but as "this role requires expertise that's hard to replace." And underpricing, it creates real risk for the whole team. That's the entire skill set in one 5-minute conversation. A few mistakes will undo all of this fast. Anchoring, then immediately negotiating against yourself before the other side even responds. Talking too much when silence would serve you better. Treating every negotiation as adversarial when most of the time both sides actually want the same deal to happen, just on slightly different terms. And the biggest one, not negotiating at all because you assume the first offer is fixed. Most of the time it isn't. You don't need a boardroom to practice any of this. Try it the next time you're negotiating rent with a landlord. Research comparable listings first. That's your BOTNA. Then name a number below asking price, backed by those comparables. Try negotiating a freelance rate with a new client. Sending your quote first, anchored high, with a reason attached. Try it at a car dealership. Walking in already knowing the fair market price and a real alternative dealership down the road. Try it asking for a raise, bringing data on your results, not just a feeling that you deserve more. Every one of these situations uses the exact same structure. Know your alternative, anchor first, then stay quiet and listen. The scenario changes, the skill underneath never does. Let's recap everything in under 30 seconds. Negotiation is not a fight, it's an exchange of information. Know your BATNA, your best alternative, before you walk in. Anchor first with a number backed by real reasoning. Then stop talking and let silence do some of the work. Listen for what the other side actually needs and frame your offer around what they stand to lose. That's it. That's the whole system. Negotiation isn't a personality trait some people are just born with. It's a small set of skills. Anchoring first, backed by real alternatives, reinforced with silence and careful listening. Practice it on small things first. A bill, a return policy, a freelance rate before you ever need it for something big. The next time someone hands you a number, pause before you accept it. Ask yourself what you actually know about their side of the table and what you're willing to walk away from. That single pause is where negotiation actually begins. If this helped you see negotiation differently, subscribe for more videos like this one and let me know in the comments the last thing you actually negotiated. Was it bigger than you expected or smaller? Either way, now you know the skill behind it. See you in the next one. Go negotiate something today, even something small. You'll be surprised what simply asking first can do. Thanks for watching.